through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key, make the big switch. Power to the people, time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him, he's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules, a new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to all chains, embrace the new. A financial revolution, fair and true. For the workers, the dreamers, side by side. In Trump's new era, let freedom rise.
Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Cryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and thank you guys so much for joining at a slightly odd hour. We are an hour late this evening, and I'm actually kind of curious to see whether being an hour late didn't make the stream start time a little bit more convenient for folks. And so please do sound off on that one. Is this a better time? If it is, well, then maybe we'll move back all of our stream times 1 hour. I'm kind of curious to see what folks think. But thank you guys so much for joining. And, well, not surprising in any form or fashion, but finally admitted to, or at least proven, the federal government has been denying American citizens the right to access cryptocurrency for the past 14 years. 14 years. And they finally decided to admit it. And to me, this is, well, to call it a victory, I'm not certain if it's technically a victory. What it is, it's a victory of truth. And that is valuable. And so we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to answer questions. But first things first, I'm going to say hello to everyone joining us this evening, or everyone that I possibly can. What's up, Kukla? Thank you so much, Kukla, for being here and for everything you do, and for also letting folks know that the stream was going to be an hour late this evening. You are the best, and I have something very exciting to talk to you about. And so if we get a little bit of time between streams, Pop and Whiskey and Wisdom, I'm going to try and grab a few minutes from you there, Kukla. What's up, Mile High Trish? Absolutely happy Trump Day to everyone out there. We have only got, well, what would that be? We've got one more Trump Day before inauguration. Next week will be the last Trump Day prior to Trump's inauguration. And so happy Trump Day to everyone out there. And I hope you're having an amazing one, Trish. Welcome, Gary. What is up, Gary? Number 2 on the like button today there, Gary. Much appreciated. Oh, well, I know, Trish, that was a really interesting one. Trish says caffeine sensitive and doesn't like decaf. It was very interesting to listen to Justin talk about what the process is of decaffeinating coffee beans. That's something that I had learned a while back, but I knew when everyone in the community learned about it that it was going to be a little bit startling about just what processes are necessary for it. But don't worry, Trish. I'm certain we will figure something out. What's up, Linda Hearn? Welcome. Yeah, there you go. We've got some good jokes going from Gary. My friend told me that his wife made him decaf coffee and didn't tell him. He said that it's grounds for divorce. Like coffee grounds. That's a good one. That's a pretty good one there, Gary. Yeah. That's an even more clever one for those that definitely like to play around linguistically. Did you know that decaf, if faced, is faced backwards? I had never noticed that until you pointed it out, Gary, but now I do know, and I'll never be able to forget it. I will never be able to. What's up, Jeremy, coming from Freedom Forged? Welcome, welcome. All right, though, guys, I'm going to jump through a bit. Sorry if I miss a few hellos because I want to get into talking about the news today, just because this is very, very exciting. We're only going to cover one news story today, essentially. I'm that excited about it. One news story is essentially all the information we need to talk about because it's probably one of the most revealing articles, one of the most revealing news stories in regards to what the government has been up to in terms of cryptocurrency that I have seen in quite a while. And we've had some real humdingers come through in the past couple of months. And so that definitely says a lot that this one's bigger than a lot of those. Welcome, Bear. Welcome, NM Hiker. What's up, Nana Anna? Thank you so much for joining, folks. Let me do welcome, Mary Jones. Welcome, welcome. Of course, I do have to cover this one, and thank you so much to Kukla for making certain that I do. Please do remember that the content in this podcast or any video that comes out from the Crazy Kryptonaut channel is designed for educational and entertainment purposes alone. It should not be viewed as financial or legal advice. Please consult with a financial or legal professional before making any decisions. Thank you, Kukla, for ensuring I get that one. Welcome, Crypto Warden. Welcome, welcome. What's up, Anthony? Welcome, Farmer Deb and Michelle. Thank you guys all so much for joining this evening. And so let's go ahead and jump right into it because it's going to be a busy evening. All right. Get our screen up here. First things first, per usual, we're going to go ahead and check on the market. And so we have seen a genuine downturn over the past 24 to 36 hours, in all honesty. And so remember, whenever you're trying to look and see how the market's doing, you're best off always just going ahead and clicking on Bitcoin and seeing how it's doing. You may not own Bitcoin. You may own any of the other cryptocurrencies, but I've done this a few times, and I can pretty much guarantee that if you actually just check out the Bitcoin chart, you'll end up with the answers for all the other cryptocurrencies. And so when we check out our Bitcoin chart, what we can see is that over the past effectively about 28 hours, 24, and we have seen a downturn from January 7th at 5:03 Eastern Standard Time. We have seen it go from $101,720 down to $95,029. So over 24 hours, but in a fairly short time span. And what you can go ahead and take away from looking at the Bitcoin chart is that if we were going to go over and look at other cryptocurrencies, we can pretty much guess that they're going to have a very similar chart. Look at that. Ethereum, identical. absolutely identical. And so it started dropping at what time? January 7th, somewhere around 8 Eastern Standard, it started plummeting. Let's come back over. Bitcoin, same chart. Look at that. Same time. It started plummeting. And so this is definitely a little tip that I would highly recommend for folks to take advantage of. When you're looking at the markets, remember the markets follow Bitcoin. But what I'm very excited to be a little bit different today is that, wait a second. So remember, Bitcoin, Ethereum, identical charts. We can come on over here to Solana. We can look at the 7-day. Look at that identical chart. We can go back. We can check out, let's look at Cardano over 7 days. Look at that. Same chart. Here's one that's somewhat interesting. Let's look at XRP. Not the same chart. Not even close to the same chart. We went to the same exact time scale for each of the different cryptocurrencies. Guess which chart broke the trend? Only XRP. We can go down and we can check out other ones. Here's Avalanche. Look at that chart. That's the same chart as Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's identical. Go back. Bitcoin. Same chart. And so this is one thing that is very, very exciting, guys. XRP has broken the trend. XRP is currently trending in the opposite direction of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trending precipitously down over the past 36 hours. XRP had a very slight correction and seems to be immediately recovering. That, for XRP holders out there, is very exciting news. And I think it's kind of telling for the future. These rules that have kind of been established over the time period of cryptocurrency, that Bitcoin leads the way, Bitcoin controls the cycle. Well, it seems as if XRP is continuing to buck that trend. And also, when we come on down, we'll see that Stellar seems to also be bucking that trend. I think that this is something that's very important for people to be paying attention to, because effectively we're seeing a separation that's occurring from the Bitcoin and Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain blockchains. And we're seeing a separation from them and the XRP, XLM blockchains. And that's intriguing. And it seems as if Solana has joined Ethereum and Bitcoin in terms of it following the exact same cycle. Bitcoin goes down, Solana and Ethereum go down, and then all of the tokens built on Solana and Ethereum go down. Well, that just happened, and XRP and XLM didn't. They didn't do the same thing. That seems like, oh, that's normal. People are buying certain things. That's important. That's very important, because that means that the people that own Stellar and XRP are selling their Ethereum, their Bitcoin, their Solana, but they're not selling their Stellar and XRP. And that means investors are making choices about where they think things are properly valued at. They're saying, hey, we think that Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana are overpriced, but we don't think that XRP and XLM are overpriced. And so everyone can take away from these charts, what they so choose. I would highly recommend that folks make their own determinations off of what these things mean. Remember that it can easily change. Just because the charts look to be going in a certain direction doesn't mean they'll keep going that way. But if you guys were to go through, I did this for a little while before the stream started. I promise you that you will find very few cryptocurrencies that do not have a chart on a 7-day time scale that do not look pretty much identical to Bitcoin's. Pretty much identical. I could even try to open up a few to make this a little bit easier to see by actually trying to split my screen up a little bit. But if you were to go ahead and take some of these different charts, you would end up finding that these things are matching each other almost identically. And so here is the Ethereum and the Bitcoin chart over a 7-day time period. And sorry for the jumbled mess getting that set up, but they're identical. They are almost identical. Yes, this one's in red, this one's in green, but ultimately the prices are going up and down at the exact same time. Very important to notice when you do see that a certain crypto is not. So when I jump to XRP and I show it on the 7-day, look at that chart. Look at that. I think that we are seeing a general disconnection right now from Bitcoin in terms of certain cryptocurrencies. That's a change. That's very exciting. But I also, for those out there that are looking at the markets overall, I would definitely say my sympathies out there to folks, because we are seeing a lot of red across certain cryptos, but we seem to be seeing a lot of strength around our ISOs. And so with that covered, I'm going to see if we had any questions jump up, and then we're going to start talking about the government. All right. Gary, what other blockchains should we keep our eyes on? Well, I think I talked a lot about that one as I was on my podium there for a second. And so you definitely want to always be keeping an eye on Bitcoin and Ethereum. They do continue to typically control the market. That's why today is so exciting. They're not controlling the price of XRP and XLM. Now, I do still believe that the downturn is affecting XRP and XLM. I think that if Bitcoin had not started to lose value today, we would have most likely seen a far greater gain for our XRP coins. They're still connected, but they're starting to disassociate. They're in the process of breaking up, essentially. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, they're in a process. They're figuring out who's in charge of the dog on weekends. They're figuring out things of that nature, but ultimately their prices seem to be separating. And that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. It's always been a worry amongst crypto that everything follows the price of Bitcoin. The Bitcoin maximalists, the people that only buy Bitcoin, they love it. Everybody else, not a huge fan. Not a huge fan. And so I think that NM Hiker, I chose XRP and XLM to the moon. I only trust the ISOs. Well, NM Hiker today would definitely be a A very positive day for you and for everyone else that made the same decision, because it's being proven that your ISO choice is different than choosing Bitcoin or Ethereum. It doesn't mean Bitcoin and Ethereum are bad. It just means that it seems as if right now the ISOs are getting more love. Folks are holding their XRP and their XLM. Folks are selling their Bitcoin and Ethereum. That doesn't mean it's going to continue. These things are short term. Markets are volatile, yada, yada. Keep those things in mind. But if you go down the entire chart, you will see that every single crypto, essentially, besides a few outliers, is following the exact same trend. But XRP and XLM seem to be mirroring each other, which does make me kind of wonder about the future of XRP, XLM. You start to wonder about a day where they would not possibly end up being the same company, just because they're so closely related. They're trying to accomplish very similar goals, maybe with different resources, different things, but ultimately they have the same long-term vision. Who knows? Joseph, I have the 3 X's: XRP, XLM, and XTC. Well, congratulations, Joseph. You and the other folks similarly are the only people having a good time today. Everybody else is having a crappy time, but you're not. And so keep that in mind, Joseph. The guys that only own Bitcoin, well, their day is not going great. But for those out there that own XRP and XLM, your day is going pretty well. All right. With that covered, let's jump into what I'm very, very excited to talk about. And this is something that we've very often known, or for a very long time we have known is occurring. But finally, we have a little bit of proof. Coinbase chief legal officer states the FDIC was trying to cover up its actions aimed to debank crypto clients. And so, what the FDIC did was they actually put out essentially a secret document. And in that document, they sent out pause letters to banks urging them to stop services to crypto clients. This is the reason that when you went in for the first time you tried to buy cryptocurrency, your bank probably called you and said, hey, you're doing something wrong, or someone's trying to steal your money. And so, what effectively the FDIC managed to accomplish, which has only now been proven after a FOIA request, that's a Freedom of Information request, is that they had been informing these companies to deny all transactions that were trying to take US fiat dollars to cryptocurrency, no matter what, under the understanding that it was a required law, that these companies had to initially deny it. And so they have been unbanking, debanking, unbanking, debanking, seems like the same thing, but they had been taking away banking from cryptocurrency companies and cryptocurrency investors based off of the fact of absolutely nothing. The FDIC just said, no, it's just a pause letter. But as we continue through, and I don't want to go reading the entire thing just because I know that'll get people a little bit bored, but I'm tempted to do it just because the article is so important. But what effectively continued to occur, and I'll read a little bit and we'll see where we get on that one. Coinbase, and so this is who actually ended up releasing the information today, compliments of an ongoing legal case with the FDIC. Coinbase sued the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation to enforce the Freedom of Information Act. Initially, the request was denied by the FDIC. According to Growell, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation failed to provide all the court-compelled documents, yada, 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 and only after additional legal pressure. But why? And that's what we need to talk about, because we got a lot of legalese. What was that document that the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation actually presented? And they have been using a variety of different excuses for why. An excuse to hide certain details in the disclosed document was that the reveal of this info would have caused reasonably foreseeable harm to the recipients of these letters. Allegedly, the names of the institutions, the specific operations, and the other details, if made public, would damage the relations between the banks in question and the regulator. Interestingly enough, the letters weren't even confidential until September of 2022, when the FDIC began to add notifications that the banks should keep the letters secret. And so we have currently got a federal organization requesting that private corporations withhold information and knowledge from their customers in regards to why the banks are refusing to process their transactions. And guess what? The banks did it. The banks withheld information from their customers on purpose on account of the FDIC. And they then enforced redactions. And so the FDIC actually required the banks to redact any information regarding it. And this is in direct regards to some of the information initially redacted became available on January 4th. Grewal claims that the newly revealed data doesn't harm the recipients of the pause letters and that the FDIC made up the excuse to cover up an ongoing Operation Choke Point 2.0. And I want people to remember this. Operation Choke Point 2.0. This is a colloquial name for the series of efforts by the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, and other institutions to block services for clients performing transactions associated with cryptocurrencies, religious groups, clients associated with African countries, and other law-abiding customer groups. Operation Choke Point. This has been ongoing, and it is not just about choking out funding towards religious groups, but also cryptocurrencies, African nations, and other law-abiding customer groups. You can fill in the spaces here in terms of the other organizations and groups that were blocked from financial services. The FDIC has admitted it was true. Operation Choke Point 2.0 was real. The FDIC, the Federal Reserve, and other government institutions have directly targeted your ability to fund specific things. Why is cryptocurrency in the same category as religious groups and politically ideological groups? Why? Well, it's because these things are all working together. Effectively, we are all fitting into the same category. We are the quote unquote, as Hillary Clinton would say, the deplorables. And that's what category we fit into. And cryptocurrency and religion have now been placed into the same category. This article continues to go on, including recaps of the different things. And they even try to go ahead and dissuade you from believing their own article. But ultimately, at the end, they go ahead and state, as the battle continues, the new facts will shed light on the true outlook of the alleged unlawful anti-crypto efforts, and we will learn if the FDIC's actions were rather an example of caution or outright hostility. Remember, judging by the information revealed, this is not going to really be a matter of proving them wrong. It's already been proven that they are wrong, including 25 disclosed letters and FDIC internal memos. And so for everyone out there, very interesting article. It is in the chat now. I would definitely recommend reading through it and kind of reading a little bit between the lines on some of the information, because if you just take it at face value, all right, it's interesting. It's very interesting. What is more important to consider here, in my opinion, is the fact that certain different organizations are all being lumped together. They have now lumped together cryptocurrency with a Christian charity. Christian charities are now being prosecuted, and cryptocurrency companies are being prosecuted under effectively the same operation. And what we do know is that while, of course, Crypto.news does not want to have their CEO suddenly have an accident in their home gymnasium. And so naturally, they're going to present a little bit of a counter argument, but even they say that it isn't. And so, is Operation Choke Point 2.0 real? There are several accounts of cases where banks were stopping to provide services to clients associated with cryptocurrency. If this is not enough to confirm the existence of the operation, we can add the FDIC's letters. Remember, 25 confirmed letters to various cryptocurrency companies. Although they don't necessarily urge banks to completely close clients' accounts, they create problems by indefinite account blocks, creating uncertainty for U.S. entrepreneurs in the crypto sector. If one doubts that Operation Choke Point 2.0 is real, we may state that the FDIC's recommendation of termless closures of the bank accounts of companies that don't violate the law are real. They are, and the FDIC has been recommending the termination of lawful bank accounts guaranteed. That is a federal crime. You cannot take away the right for an American under the Constitution and under the bill, under any form or fashion of it, you cannot take away our rights to choose what we spend our money on. It is a matter of freedom of speech. If I choose to buy my gas from Exxon and not the other one down the road, I am expressing my right to the First Amendment. It is the same thing when it comes to the purchase of cryptocurrencies. You and I all have a constitutional right to choose what we spend our money on. And they have finally admitted they were intentionally blocking us because of what we were choosing to purchase. We wanted to buy crypto. We wanted to support religious groups. We wanted to support ideologies that the mainstream did not appreciate. And by doing so, we came under the ire of an unconstitutional directive by the FDIC and the Federal Reserve that was directed at us specifically in order to silence our ability to utilize our constitutional rights. That is a serious, serious deal, in my opinion. And so this is a very important article, and there's a lot that needs to be shared here and needs to be moved around. I do have other articles discussing the situation and discussing some of the details, but tonight I honestly wanted to focus everyone on one. Just because this article is important. And Ellen of Petrichor Ranch, welcome, welcome. Sounds like things aren't going smoothly. Actually, Ellen, things are going amazingly. And that's what I want people to realize. This is disclosure. These are the disclosures you're looking for. We now have the FDIC and when we go ahead and we check through, we have the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, and the other government institutions essentially being proven to have stolen our rights from us. I don't see this as being bad news. This is a disclosure. Is it unfortunate to hear that it was ongoing? Well, of course, but we knew it was happening. There's a reason, guys. I told everyone when I was talking through some of the initial videos, I said, okay, say you set up your account on Coinbase. You connect your bank. The first time you make a transaction, you will be denied. And the reason I said that is because 90% of the time, that's what happens. The reason behind it was this. The FDIC and the Federal Reserve had told banks through secret letters that they were not allowed to share publicly, that they were not allowed to provide services to customers that wanted to invest in cryptocurrencies. That is illegal. Very much illegal. And it is being proven now. These are the things that we need. Is it fun to see it proven? Well, yes. In my opinion, it's very fun because I've been trying to convince people for many, many years that the government had done this, and everybody told me to put my tinfoil hat back on and climb back in to my bunker in my backyard. Well, it turns out we were right. The government has been intentionally restricting American citizens' ability to access cryptocurrency. Do you think they are doing that in order to protect you? And that's the serious question I think everyone needs to ask themselves. Do you think that the government restricted your access to cryptocurrency – because they wanted to protect you? And the next step here is an even more upsetting one, is that the next step in this story is, what letter do you think the FDIC and the Federal Reserve sent law enforcement agencies in regards to theft and scams that have occurred via cryptocurrency? I guarantee that the next disclosure is going to be that the FDIC and the Federal Reserve instructed law enforcement agencies to not prosecute or pursue cryptocurrency theft. And I strongly believe that will be the next disclosure on this front, is that also it was not just companies, it was law enforcement agencies. And that means when your family, when you got robbed of money by some guy that I can prove who did it, and then the FBI and law enforcement says, no, never mind. The reason they said never mind, right here, Operation Choke Point 2.0. The reason that your friends, your grandmother, your family has been scammed out of cryptocurrency and has never gotten it back is Operation Choke Point 2.0. That is the reason that so many people in this community and far outside of our community have been scammed out of money and have not gotten it back. It's Operation Choke Point 2.0. It's not just a matter of the FDIC and the Federal Reserve instructing companies to not work with you. I have zero doubt that this will end up also being a matter of the banks and a matter of law enforcement. And yep, Gary, that is a great point. The FBI didn't ignore it. They went in and took the money for themselves. Very possible. Very, very possible. Gary 7, now that we know this and it's public, how do you think the banks will respond, or will they care? Gary, what I actually expect is that we're going to see a very large class action lawsuit. A very, very large class action lawsuit. And in that way, I think it's not going to rectify the situation, but effectively it's going to stop it. Just because should there be far more serious action? Absolutely. But I think the first step is the class action lawsuit discussing folks having their constitutional rights taken away. And that's going to be the first step. And by doing so, we're going to set into precedent the idea that restricting our ability to choose what we want to spend our money on is a matter of the First Amendment, as was established by Supreme Court cases in regards to election donations. It has been established how you choose your money, how you choose to spend your money is a matter of the First Amendment. If I choose to spend my money buying cryptocurrency, I am expressing my First Amendment right. And for the FDIC and the Federal Reserve to have restricted my First Amendment right is blatantly unconstitutional. And so that for me is going to be the first step, is that we have got clear proof now that we were intentionally restricted. And what's very intriguing here is that by them having restricted our ability to purchase cryptocurrencies, they also inhibited our ability to have gained the general increase that those cryptocurrencies would have achieved. And so, if a bank denied a person the ability to purchase Bitcoin back in 2016, when Bitcoin was a couple $1,000s and a bank restricted you from purchasing it, well, they restricted your ability to utilize your First Amendment right. And if they had not restricted your ability to utilize your First Amendment right, then your Bitcoin would today be worth $100,000. And so, what you would then argue is that not only did you infringe upon my First Amendment, you also stole $100,000 from me, or hundreds of thousands of dollars. A class action lawsuit is coming. Absolutely guaranteed. And we're going to be talking about it at some point, I'm certain in the next couple of years, when it finally does occur, because it will take a long time. But ultimately, there will be a class action lawsuit, and folks will have to sit there and argue back and forth about, hey, I was trying to buy cryptocurrency in 2017. I tried to buy XRP at 0.01, at 1 cent. I tried to buy XRP at 1 cent, but I was denied by a bank. Why was I denied? You were denied because the FDIC restricted your First Amendment right. That's a clear legal case. That's clear. And the only thing that's going to have to be argued over it is to what degree are they culpable for the damages? Because that's a hard argument. So yes, maybe they let me buy Bitcoin at $1,000. And well, now, hindsight 2020, they restricted that purchase. I'm going to argue that I would still be holding that Bitcoin. It's going to get into a lot of legalese. But Mile High Trish, I would absolutely say that class action lawsuit is coming. It is coming. It will occur. Will there be legal shenanigans? I'm certain that they will also come along with it. But ultimately, this is clear as day. They infringed upon American citizens' rights to choose what they wanted to spend their money on. And they also attempted to hide the evidence. They informed banks that these were secret letters and that they were not allowed to tell their customers about it. And so, I would assume that the banks are probably going to get away with this because the banks were just following what they were told to do. They were following orders. Who should not and cannot get away with this is the federal government. The United States federal government intentionally took away or attempted to choke out the ability for American citizens to invest in cryptocurrency. That is illegal. It's a crime written by them. The federal government wrote the law that states that what they did is a federal crime. You are not allowed to restrict intentionally, as the federal government, the ability for Americans to choose to spend their money on legal and lawful pursuits. It was legal. It was lawful. There was no right for the federal government to instruct banks to deny our purchases ever. It was never legal. And so they have put themselves in quite the sticky situation. And I think that this is one that they can't get out of. This is going to be impossible to get out of. We have got 25 letters that have been released. These 25 letters come from the FDIC directly to a variety of different banks. And so let's go here. Like, these are denials, letters sent out by the FDIC to a variety of different companies, which they are withholding the name of the corporations that were given these instructions. Crypto asset paused activity. These are the reasons that they gave behind pausing activity for a variety of different exchanges and companies from March 22nd to May of 23rd, May 2023. So March of 2022 to May of 2023. Here are just 25 of the different reasonings behind paused activity by the FDIC. Every single one is unconstitutional. Every single one. And so, Gary, will Biden pardon the banks? I think that the banks, most likely, they're not going to worry about this. They're going to say, we just did what we were told. Gary 7, can Biden pardon banks now that Trump has been certified? Yes, he can, Gary. Technically, Biden still holds the right to go through and execute executive orders up to the literal point of a new president being established. The reason behind that was actually established in the 25th Amendment. And so the general logic is that there always has to be a person in charge. And so that means that the moment that Trump is inaugurated, Biden is no longer the head of state. And that means there is never a point in time where there is not technically a person in charge of the United States of America. That's why we have the line of succession, not secession, succession, an important distinction. And that's why we have it. And so up to January 20th, we're going to continue to see Biden right into quote unquote law certain different executive decisions. Please keep in mind that any decision made by the executive branch can be immediately overturned by the executive branch. And so anything that Biden's administration chooses to do over the next 12 days, ultimately, anything and everything done can immediately then be overturned with nothing more than the shortest little scribble from Donald J. Trump's hands once he is the president. And so the current administration is trying to get us in the global conflicts. They are trying to start World War III, but the second that Trump is inaugurated on the 20th, we will be able to overturn silly things like pardoning a bank that shouldn't have been pardoned. Typically, I would say, as a matter of precedent, all American presidents have chosen to respect the pardons that have been provided by previous administrations. Has that always been right? No, not in the slightest. Remember, Lyndon B. Johnson also pardoned Richard Nixon. Also had pardoned folks. I mean, we have a long history of this, and I meant Gerald Ford had also pardoned Nixon. We have a long history of this occurring. Effectively, if a prior president issues a pardon, it is considered uncouth for the next president to in any way reverse it. It is. And so very, very interesting. Very, very interesting, guys. I know that I was particularly excitable this evening, so my apologies if I was a little disjointed in my presentation on the topic. The reason is because of how excited I got by it. This is, to me, extremely exciting. This is going to lead towards a lot of very, very positive things. These are the disclosures that we need to see. This is what we're looking for. This is our government finally being held accountable for the crimes they have committed. And I am certain that this is only the tip of the iceberg for the other crimes and the other things we're going to find out about in the very near future. And so, very exciting, very, very exciting. And don't worry, because this is new information, I will have probably a slightly less excitable take on it, a little bit more concise explanation and summary coming in the next couple of days. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to be jumping on and talking about this one on the original Mark Z very, very soon, as well as on Liberty on Main Street, because this is why Liberty on Main Street exists. And this is why Pops and I are so excited about the new administration. It's the disclosures. This is a lot of evidence that the changes are occurring. And so we need to be paying attention. And it's not going to be fun, honestly, to learn all the different ways that our government has taken our money, our treasure, and taken us and done, well, criminal things. And this is just, in my opinion, the beginning of that. Just the beginning. All right, though, guys. Absolutely love you all. I'm going to run off. Please, everyone, go ahead and jump on over, because, of course, it is ready. It is ongoing. Jump on over to the original Mark Z. Link is in the chat room. Remember, love you all. And, of course, I will be on Whiskey and Wisdom this evening. I don't know if I'll get a chance to jump in with Pops, but I know as soon as I get to talk to him about this story, we'll be discussing it. So, peace, guys. Jump on over there.